The third Democratic debate takes place tonight in Texas. 10 candidates are going to share the stage for the 3-hour event, with some of the participants debating each other for the first time this cycle.
It's also the first time the top candidates will all be on the stage together. Joining us from Houston with a preview of what we can expect is Hill TV host Jamal Simmons. Jamal, what's it feeling like down there?
Hey, good morning. I am out here in like 95% humidity at 8:30 in the morning. It's crazy here. But it's a good day. People are coming in. You're starting to see some of the excitement. We're here at Texas Southern University, which is where this event is going to be held tonight. It's a great historically black college here in Texas, about 10,000 students. They call them the Tigers locally. All the students are really excited. We saw a bunch of them walking around. They were interns yesterday and helpers. But tonight we're going to have 10 candidates on the stage in the building behind me. Those 10 candidates will be talking about all the things you guys talk about every single day around here. We're going to be talking about Medicare for all. I'm sure immigration is going to come up. We're in Texas. They'll be talking about some of the other big issues that are happening. But we've got a couple of polls that have come out this week that also tell you where candidates are lining up. There's a big Essence survey that came out among African-American women. And you were talking to a Bernie Sanders person earlier. You know, among the entire group of African-American women, Joe Biden comes in first. But when you talk to African-American women 18 to 35, Bernie Sanders comes in first place among that group. So there's definitely an age split that's happening. We saw somebody from Univision who was here yesterday, and they were talking to us about the poll that they did, which we also talked about on Whisk. The poll that they did, which had Biden and Bernie in first and second places. So this is kind of shaping up as the big three fight, Biden, Bernie, and Elizabeth Warren. And then there's a bunch of other candidates, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Julian Castro, who's a native of Texas from nearby, and a bunch of candidates, Andrew Yang's in that group, who are all kind of hovering around the 5% range. And, Andrew Yang's at 5% in our latest poll.
Jamal, who has the most to lose in tonight's debate? Who do you think?
Well, clearly Vice President Biden has the most to lose. He's the one everybody's gunning for because they think he might be a little bit vulnerable. The other person on that list is Elizabeth Warren. I think people are coming for her because she's been moving up in every single poll. Some polls now have her in second place. CBS News had a battleground poll that was out this weekend that put her ahead in New Hampshire for one of the first times in their poll. Bernie Sanders ahead in Nevada, and Biden and Sanders fighting it out in Iowa. So I got a lot of noise going on behind me. We're on a busy street. So I think Elizabeth Warren is somebody who's also going to be in the hot seat because a lot of people see her coming up and are looking for a way to maybe slow her rise in the Democratic primary.
Yeah. What do you think are the most effective attacks on her? I mean, I feel like with Biden, frankly, there's a lot to work with. I think Elizabeth Warren is a little bit trickier because she is so well liked both by, the Democratic base, but also by the media. So what do you think is an attack on her that could stick?
Well, people are coming at her about her, you hear one thing you hear on the ground from some activists is she used to be a Republican, so there's like a comparison between her and Hillary Clinton, that both of them were Republicans who became Democrats, but I'm not sure if that's one that sticks. There's a question people have you should be here. The bus is going to come in a second. I might get on it and ride out to Mission Court. But there's a question people have about whether or not Elizabeth Warren raised money from some of the big corporate donors that she's now saying she's not going to raise money from. The thing that Warren has been able to do, though, is that she seems to be sort of unflappable. People ask her these questions. She sort of knows why she's running for president. She tells people why she's running for president. And I think that's appealing to people. And when you talk to a lot of people down here in some of these states, you ask them about Warren, even if they're supporting somebody else, inevitably her name comes up as somebody people just genuinely like. So we'll see what that shakes out for her, how that shakes out over the course of the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. So what about the Texas native sons? You have Beto ORourke, who's sitting, I think, around 12% in the latest polls down there. He's still got quite a bit of support. I mean, he could have some sort of night. The audience certainly might be on his side, right, Jamal?
He could. This is my bus right behind me. I'm going to get on it when we leave. Beto could be. He could do very well here. This is Beto's home state. We got a bunch of Beto signs behind us. You can't see him just outside the shot, probably. So his people have been out here today. He's got something to prove. I would watch for the people who are in that 4, 5, 6% range and see, because they're the ones who've got ground to make up, whether it's Beto or whether it's Julian Castro. Some of the people Cory Booker is somebody else who's got some ground to make up. They don't have a lot of time left. There's a filing coming up September 30th for fundraising. And so anybody who doesn't have enough money or polls, I think it's going to be very hard for them to keep their organization going. That filing comes up September 30th. They got to release those numbers October 15th, which is before the next debate. So we'll see whether or not that slows, that gets anybody else out of this debate, out of this campaign before that debate comes.
Right.
And what about Kamala Harris? She had one very good debate and one very bad debate. What do you think are the sort of conditions that favor Kamala Harris and enable her to perform well?
Well, you know, she has she's also one of the most well-liked candidates. When you talk to people, I think voters really want to like Kamala Harris. I think she had a tough debate, that second debate, where she didn't quite perform as well as she did the first debate. Some people had questions that maybe she went after Biden too hard and she didn't have the backup for it when people kind of asked her some more questions. When you ask her questions about some of her policy positions, she takes a hard stand the first day, the next day she backs off of that a little bit. So you hear about that disconcerting some Democratic voters. So she's got to, I think, come out strongly, say what it is she believes in, give the rationale for her candidacy, tell people what she wants to do as president, and really plant her feet and stay there. I think if she does that, she might have a better night tonight. But as you know from our poll and others, she's been slipping in most of the big polls.
So, Jamal, final question for you. Who's the dark horse person on the stage? Who do you expect to do the best tonight? But we may not necessarily think that person.
Well, look, I think we can divide this up into a couple of different camps. There are the the politicians, and then there are people who are a little bit more advocate types. I mean, I think if you look at Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Andrew Yang, Cory Booker, I think those candidates seem to have a very firm grounding and footing in what it is they believe, and they are saying what they think and believe, kind of regardless of the political outcome. And then you have people who are a little bit more traditional politicians. Those are, the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, perhaps. Some people who really are kind of the more traditional politician who in an earlier era would probably do very well. So we'll see which, out of the different camps, which ones are the ones that pop and how voters react to them. There are going to be 3,500 people in this debate hall tonight. You won't probably, they'll be cheering and jeering depending on what they hear, but we'll be all watching it on TV and seeing how it shakes out.
Great.
I'm excited. Thank you, Jamal. Have fun tonight.
Thank you, Jamal.
Thanks. It's good to see you all. And Crystal, have fun on Bill Maher.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Jamal. It'll be a good time. Coming up, how are Republicans planning to counter the Democrats' big debate night? And is it true the president's campaign is paying for a flyover banner during the event that says socialism will kill Houston's economy?
We're going to ask the director of strategic communications for the Trump's re-election campaign next.